Hello and welcome to this jazz guitar lesson. I'm Chris Whiteman and thanks for joining me. So today we're going to look at the altered dominant mode. We're going to discuss what it is, where it comes from, why we use it, and then look at some applications for it. So the altered dominant mode is a mode of melodic minor that we use when we want to create additional tension on a dominant seventh chord. So this is for situations where we want to increase the level of dissonance in the harmony. So we commonly find this approach in cadence situations. So we have a 5 dominant resolving to a 1. And in jazz standards, this often shows up as a 2-5-1. So we'll precede the 5 with a 2 chord, right? And so you'll hear these types of sounds where we have the 2 chord being a consonant and then some type of dissonance on the 5 resolving to the 1 chord. So consonance, dissonance, that's where we're using the altered dominant, and then we resolve back to consonance. And this is one common application, but not the only one. So once we identify the 5 chord that we want to alter, then we have to find the correct mode. And there's a very simple shortcut. Now, I said earlier that altered dominant is a mode of melodic minor. So we're looking for the melodic minor scale and thinking of that as the parent scale of the mode. So I like to think of that melodic minor scale first. And so the shortcut is this. Whatever your dominant 7th chord is, in this case G7, you're going to go up 1/2 step from the root, and that takes us to A flat. And that is the parent scale, or the melodic minor scale, that goes with the G7 altered. So if we start on A flat, it's A flat melodic minor. If we start on G, still A flat melodic minor, just starting a 1/2 step below on the 7th degree, that is actually our mode. That is the G altered dominant mode. Let's start with melodic minor first. We're going to run through the A flat melodic minor scale just so you have a position and some fingering to start with. So here's A flat melodic minor, the parent scale of G altered dominant. And if you're unfamiliar with the melodic minor scale, another easy shortcut is it shares all of the same notes as the parallel major. When I say parallel, I mean the major scale with the same root. So A flat melodic minor shares all of the same notes as A flat major except the 3rd. So you flat the 3rd in the A flat major scale and you end up with A flat melodic minor, right? So we have A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat. And I'm going to go all the way to the top of this position. So the next note's going to be B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat. And then I'm going to come backwards. And then I'm going to go all the way down to the end of this position. So moving down to my G, to my F, to my E flat, D flat, C flat. And then I'm going to move all the way back up and finish where I started on A flat. And so that whole series sounds like this. And there's your A flat melodic minor scale. Now, just from a player's perspective, if somebody is playing a G7 altered harmony and you have that sound underneath you, if you play A flat melodic minor, it's going to sound like G altered dominant. You don't have to actually start on G to get the mode exactly right, because the harmony is going to give you that root of G. But from a theoretical educational perspective, in order to express the mode, you should start on the root of the mode. And so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to play the A flat melodic minor scale, but we're going to start on the 7th degree, which is G. And when we do that, we're orienting around the starting point of G, which is also the root of our harmony. And now we have the official G altered dominant mode. So all I did is just change my orientation from A flat, focusing on the G. Now, because we're starting on G, the analysis of this mode has to be done against a G harmony, right? Against the G7. And this is where, it gets interesting to see what this mode gives you in relation to a G7. So we're starting on G, and we get the root. The other thing I want to mention is that if we are doing an analysis of the A-flat melodic minor scale, we have named it in relation to A-flat melodic minor, the names of the notes. And you'll notice on the PDF, when we do the analysis against the G7, some of those notes I had to rename enharmonically so that they align with the G7 and the types of alterations that you'll actually see, right? Sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 11, sharp 5. So here's the analysis against the G7. So I'm starting with my root on G and then flat 9, right? That's my A flat. Now, instead of calling this B flat, I'm now calling it A sharp because in relation to the chord, this is the sharp 9. We would not have a minor third on a G7 altered because we have the major third. So if we have what looks like to be a minor third on there, it's actually a sharp 9, right? So again, root, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, sharp 11, sharp 5, flat 7, root, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, sharp 11, sharp 5, right? And so what's interesting, if we do the analysis, we get the root, the major third, and the flat 7. So those are the three notes of the shell voicing. So call those like your primary colors of the harmony. And then we get the four alterations, the flat 9, sharp 11, and sharp 5. So 3 primary chord tones plus your 4 alterations, and those are the 7 notes of the scale. So it just aligns perfectly. And one of the things that I like to do is build a visual as well as oral relationship between the mode and the harmony, right? So I'm going to use G7 sharp 9 as my voicing to express a G altered, and I'm going to run that mode starting on the root up to the sharp 9. Play the chord. You can do it backwards. So I'm just trying to build that visual relationship of what that harmony looks like, what the scale pattern looks like, and what it sounds like. And it's also not a bad idea to go through and kind of do the analysis. So root, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, sharp 11, sharp 5, flat 7, right? Root, flat 9, sharp 9, major third, sharp 11, sharp 5. Now, with any scale or mode, we find that within that, we can pull out arpeggios, right? So we're stacking in thirds. And if we stack in thirds from the root of the melodic minor scale, in this case A flat melodic minor, and we stack it in just diatonic thirds to that scale, we get a very colorful structure. We get a minor arpeggio with a major 7 and a 9, right? So minor major 9 is sometimes people say minor major 7 add 9. And again, that's going to be A flat, C flat, E flat, G, B flat. That's against the A flat melodic minor. If we do the analysis against the G7, what we get is flat 9, major third, sharp 5, root, sharp 9. And that arpeggio is a great structure to really pull out, the sound of the altered dominant mode. All right, so usually after we express the tension that's inherent in that altered dominant mode, we usually resolve. And here we're going to resolve to the tonic, and I'm going to do that just stepwise. So I'm going to move up the arpeggio, and then I'm going to come down the altered dominant mode, and then resolve into the third of C major 7, right? And that sounds like this. Right. If you want to harmonize that. All right, so that's our 5-1 resolution. In most jazz standards, when we have a 5-1 cadence, it's often preceded by a 2, so we end up with the famous 2-5-1 chord progression. And so I want to create a line that moves through all three of those harmonies. So I'll play the line and we'll talk about it. All right, so for the D minor 7, I started with a minor 9 arpeggio, root, flat 3rd, 5th, flat 7th, 9th, back to the root, to the flat 7, to the 5th. So that's the expression over the D minor. It's all D Dorian. And then I'm moving into my A flat minor major 7 arpeggio that we just went over. And then coming down the altered dominant mode and resolving into the third of C major 7, right? And let's do that again, but I'm going to harmonize some of the alterations on the 5 chord. So. So I treated the D minor 7 the same, treated the G altered the same. I just harmonized the A sharp on the G7, so it's a G7 sharp 9 to G7 flat 9, and then I used a G augmented, right? So it's a triad, it's still, I'm thinking of it as a G7 sharp 5, and then I brought my 7th in there and then resolved to C major 7. And again, that sounds like this. All right, so that's probably a good place to stop for this introduction to the altered dominant mode. I hope you found this information useful. Everything we went over is on a PDF with standard notation and tablature for my Patreon subscribers, and there's a link if you're interested to that in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.